Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. We'll give a few minutes for a few extra folks to join us on the webinar today. All right, let's get started. Once again, thank you to everyone for taking the time out of your day to join us. My name's Cameron Burness, and I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at TradeGecko. And I have the pleasure of being the moderator on today's webinar as part of our 2018 Success Series. Today's session will provide a lens on managing inventory effectively. A few housekeeping items I'd like to address before we get started. Today's webinar should last us about 35 to 40 minutes, leaving us lots of time to answer all of your burning questions at the end. We'll be recording the webinar, and we'll share the recording and the presentation afterwards. If you do have any questions, please input them in the chat box on the right-hand side, where we'll answer them at the end of this session. Joining me on today's webinar, we have the lovely Elizabeth Sendell, President of Prevendel Business Solutions, Inc. Elizabeth has tremendous business development experience, both domestically and internationally. She comes from a family of serial entrepreneurs across a wide variety of industries. She leads an extremely successful international firm and is going to share some of her insights today with us. Also on today's webinar, we have Bruce Warren, who's the Vice President of Global Marketing here at TradeGecko. Bruce can pretty much do it all and has extensive experience in marketing, product management, business development, and corporate planning. And here at TradeGecko, Bruce is laser focused on connecting business owners with advisors and the right solution for their inventory and order management needs. Looking at today's session, there are two key areas we'll cover. The first, Elizabeth will be speaking to us about the shift from bookkeeper to a trusted advisor and how the times truly are changing for bookkeepers of today. And the second, Bruce will walk us through the TradeGecko solution, introducing us to inventory and order management for small and medium businesses, and showcasing that it truly is not a one-size-fits-all. So with that, I would like to pass it over to Elizabeth to get us started for today's webinar.
Thanks, Cameron. Today, what we'd like to talk about are the times are changing. Paradigms are shifting fast and rapidly. So we'd like to review some of those changes and some of the ones that we have already seen. Let me just take that back. First, I'd like to just speak a bit about Prevendel and who and what we are. Certainly, I founded the company in 1994. We take a business-driven approach to working with our clients and partners in making business decisions with financial implications. Our methodology and focus on business needs of our clients by understanding the functional, operational, and technical issues that they're facing and experiencing. So let's take a look at some fairly recent changes that we've seen happen. Google. Google began in 1996. Can you imagine a world without it? I mean, that was only 22 years ago. My company is actually older than Google, but Google has demonstrated certainly a world of reliance. I mean, we're all reliant on it moving forward for our information. Let's look at the iPhone. That's only been around since 2007. Can you actually imagine a world without a smartphone? I know my grandkids can't. They even use it to communicate to each other while they're sitting in the same room. So these are some of the advanced changes, major changes in paradigms that we're facing that have impacted us. Let's look at Siri and Alexa. I'm guessing that in the next 5 years, You won't be able to imagine a world without them in it, being your support. Now, amongst all of these changes, let's take a look at the casualties, the business models that have failed to adopt, to embrace change moving forward, that have been stagnant and holding on to the old paradigms and not looking ahead or forward. For those of you not old enough to remember, Blockbuster was a video chain where you could rent videos and DVDs to view at home. So yes, you'd have to go out and actually to a store and rent them. So this is pre-Netflix. What has happened to them today? Where are they? Well, as part of their name, they're bust because they did not keep ahead or consistent with the changing times. Another example, let's look at T1s. The accounting and bookkeeping profession has already seen its share of changes in the market. Canadian attendees will recognize a corporate return form. This is a T1, and this is what it looked like when it was paper-based. Does anybody remember returns using a paper and pencil? Could you imagine ever going back to this? Doing these corporate returns this way without an app, without your computer? I mean, we actually had to use calculators. Let's look at another change, another paradigm. Anybody feeling like this lately? Or when they're trying to get waiting for some work to come in. I remember waiting on clients endlessly. I do remember feeling like this, waiting on my sales reps in getting their expense reports in, or even worse, waiting for the warehouse personnel to get me inventory counts, to know what we could ship, what we couldn't sell, what we were back ordered on. I'd be sitting there, I could feel the gray hairs coming through, trying to get a handle on what we had available to sell, what we could actually ship. Well, thankfully today, it doesn't have to be that hard. There are solutions out there that will make it a lot simpler. So our historical workflows were such that we would bring in data or information from various different resources. So in the case of posting expenses or tracking expenses, we were collecting up receipts that were usually in envelopes or stapled to a piece of paper. Or we would be waiting for Excel spreadsheets to be emailed to us or on flash drives so that we could gather up information from different areas that were all fragmented, they didn't speak to one another, and then we put them all on our laptop or our desktop computer, retrieve it in one centralized area, and then have to clean up that data, manipulate that data, try and create additional reports from that data in order to generate a filing with a government agency or to be compliant with the FDA or USDA in the States. It was all coming from different areas, and that was the way that we've had to manage our business. So moving forward, today, we certainly have a greater option in looking at having all of that automated. So all that information now can reside in different portals, in different cloud-based solutions that are effectively communicating with each other, so that when we want information or we want to gain access to information, we now have that opportunity that it's just a click away, as opposed to having to try and manipulate information coming in from different sources, pulling them together to generate reports to give us that information. And certainly a click away is a lot faster than having to pull information from different resources. So now we can take charge and we can feel far more empowered by the information and the reliability of that information coming forward. As this workflow even denotes, you now have the ability to automate your bank feeds for reconciliations. There's nothing that there really isn't an app out there for. So let's take a closer look at creating an ecosystem. Now, an ecosystem is basically creating a universe of cloud-based solutions that will address your needs and provide you with the information you need in a timely, productive, cost-effective manner. So leveraging the ecosystem, basically a universe whereby we keep our clients in an app that speaks their languages. So what does that mean? What that means is we're not going to ask our warehouse manager to go into an accounting-based software, such as QuickBooks or Xerox, to try and manage inventory. Basically because accounting software speaks in terms of chart of accounts, of credit and debits, etc. What does the warehouse manager know? That's not his comfort zone. So we create an environment that speaks his language, like TradeGecko has done, in managing SKUs and understanding inventory. And then we have those apps speak into TradeGecko. So TradeGecko now becomes, in this example, the center of the universe, and all the other apps act as satellites. Now those satellites have two-way communication with each other, so everything is now automated and tracked. So here we have an app for wholesalers and distributors, such as TradeGecko, that is the center of their universe. As I said, many satellite options to assist in the operations and the workflows of the business, such as apps focusing on e-commerce, focusing on forecasting, shipping, logistics, sales, and accounting. And there's so many more. Managing every specific data, then feeding it into another app that needs that information in order to execute another step in the entire operations of the company. Yes, it facilitates two-way communications to keep clients, again, in an app that speaks their language. So at this point, I'd like to pass it on to Bruce, who can dive a little deeper into how TradeGecko manages that and addresses other solutions as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Elizabeth. Yeah, great presentation. So today I want to talk about inventory and order management. And so first I'll kick it off with talking a little bit about TradeGecko and what we do. So TradeGecko is a cloud-based inventory and order management platform really focused on the SME space for wholesalers, distributors, and e-commerce companies, and really offering that SaaS solution, software as a service solution, focused on the entire sales and supply chain, as Elizabeth was talking about. And the company is about 6 years old. We were founded in Singapore, and our North American headquarters is here in Toronto. And our founders are actually from New Zealand, so a very global company. We've really grown rapidly over those last 6 years, and now we have about 15,000 users across 90 countries. And we're actually the preferred inventory and order management software by Shopify Plus. Now, just a quick little fun slide, a little bit about me. I have two nieces and I have one canine nephew. He's pictured there in the middle. His name is Ziggy. And I'm a big fan of Bruce Springsteen and Bruce Banner, who's better known as the Incredible Hulk. And it's interesting. I've noticed that in entertainment, it's over-indexed with Bruces. There's lots of Bruces like Bruce Lee, Bruce Willis, Bruce Springsteen, etc. And that's strange because I'm almost always the only Bruce in any company I work at. So enough about me. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that commerce businesses are facing, and there's a number of operational challenges that they're dealing with right now. So it is tough to be a commerce business today. I mean, with the internet and the advent of Amazon, Shopify, and many other marketplaces and solutions,
it's really easy to start a business and sell goods online, but the new technology and that ease of access to both consumers and wholesale buyers has brought a lot of challenges with it, and I've outlined some of them here. So as Liz mentioned, a lot of companies are stuck on old systems with no paper trail. There's a lot of overselling and underselling, so you have stockouts or overstock becoming an issue. Communications between different teams and systems is also very complex given the number of systems that they're using. And definitely auditing is done at the end of the year and is painfully difficult because you're trying to garner all these different information sources. That makes it quite challenging. So I wanted to talk about a few problem areas that we see all the time. And the first one is really around order management. So one of the founders of TradeGecko actually had a t-shirt company. And when he had an online store, managing inventory was pretty easy when that's all he had. But then when he added different sales channels, brought on a wholesale relationship and started selling at trade shows, it really became a nightmare. And as you guys know, all you need to do is screw up one order to an important customer, and it can have a huge negative impact on your business. I saw there's a lot of wholesalers on the webinar today. So really the challenge is around integrating all the sales orders, keeping track of all those orders and invoices, essentially making sure that those invoices are paid on time and making sure that they're fulfilled properly, they're being shipped and delivered through the value chain. The second area that we really run into a lot, and we hear a lot of challenges, are around inventory management. And I mentioned that, dealing with multiple channels. So keeping track of inventory across channels is really tough when you open these new sales channels. And having too much inventory and your stock holding costs are obviously going to be too high. And if you have too little, you're obviously going to leave money on the table and create unhappy customers, both from an end customer perspective on the B2C side and also your wholesalers or distributors. So really it's around staying on top of your stock levels and your sales velocity, being able to accurately predict and forecast your stock levels so you can minimize stock holding costs and make sure you're buying the right amount of stock all the time. And then, we hear this all the time, as many people think, no problem, I'm using computers, we don't use paper anymore, I'm putting everything into Excel or a Google Sheet. But what about when you have multiple channels or you add even one new field salesperson? That causes a lot of challenges. And what about you stock out of a huge, a high margin item that a new wholesaler you just signed up with has ordered 1,000 units of? That can be a huge problem to the business. We have a customer that I was talking to recently in Singapore who, before he signed with TradeGecko, was still going around the warehouse and counting inventory by hand. And we hear that from a lot of our customers that fax machines are still widely used for B2B sales orders, which obviously causes a nightmare on the back end with trying to track down and process payments and getting paid on time. And so what I would say to this challenge here is that not to confuse digitization with automation. So definitely Excel and Google Sheets aren't the answer. We have a simple solution to a complex problem. Then the third area that we hear a lot about is around challenges really in warehouse management. And that's everything from generating the shipping labels and the documents, integrating with 3PLs or third-party logistics firms, and then receiving inbound fulfillments as well and POs. And then if all these challenges weren't enough, there's definitely an overarching theme, and that's an increasing switch to mobile. And what's commonplace to all of us as consumers, for example, I have a lot of apps on my iPhone, and I'm very used to using them. In the B2B world, it's definitely not as prevalent. And we want to be able to have access to our core business systems when we're on the go. So as for many of the entrepreneurs, their office is wherever they happen to be, whether they're visiting customers or they're at a trade show or they're at a coffee shop or wherever they are. So you want to be able to take orders and payments directly at trade shows, accept the B2B orders online and have visibility to those across on your mobile devices. Have real-time information, particularly important for traveling sales reps or people that are outside of the office a lot, and then being able to check in on your business and accept orders when you're on the go. So we're seeing that as an overarching theme as well. So I want to jump now and talk a little bit about the TradeGecko solution. So one of the key things that we really enable is this notion around connecting commerce workflows. So everything from purchasing all the way to selling and shipping. So making sure that you purchase the correct amount of stock so you're able to accept B2B orders online. As I mentioned in the last slide, you want to have mobile enabled sales reps. They can take orders at trade shows and when they're out seeing customers. and then being able to sell on mobile while they're there and check in as well on their mobile devices. And also being able to collect payments and create and send invoices and create shipping documents and ship items connecting to the 3PL on the selling and shipping side. And then just talking a little bit about connecting those end-to-end workflows, which is hugely important. So integration with e-commerce and POS systems such as Shopify and Amazon is very important to enable making sure that you purchase the correct amount of stock, being able to process these orders, collect payments, and all the way through to the 3PLs on the back end, shipping companies, and most importantly, your accounting system. So we connect into Xero and QuickBooks Online. So I'll talk a little bit more about that around connecting your finance or your accounting team so they have real-time accounting. So what accounting looks like today is it's really a lot of hard work and a lot of manual processes. So the orders, invoices, and other documents are sent via Excel spreadsheets or even paper files, as I mentioned, fax machines still being used. Accountants are kind of guesstimating on the on-hand stock. They're just making their best case estimates. Sometimes they'll call down and they'll do a manual count once a month, things like that. As I mentioned earlier, the auditing is done once a year, and that's super difficult and very expensive. And it's really impossible to maintain a real-time P&L and provide helpful financial data and advice to the business. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the big challenges is that this communication between teams and systems is different because they're using different systems, speaking different languages, and it makes for a painful audit process at the end of the year. So really, TradeGecko allows the synchronization with your accounting system at each step of the way. So that's everything all the way through the value chain, from purchasing your stock to managing inventory across channels, accepting all the sales channel orders and being able to track those throughout the system, all the way through to fulfillment and then reporting on the back end. So that really enables you to purchase invoices, process your sales invoices, understand your cost of goods sold to a very granular level, process your payments and collect in a timely manner on that, and then have a good understanding of your stock on hand and get away from the guesstimating that's happening a lot in the space right now. And then I just want to talk a little bit about the benefits of a real-time accounting system in the cloud. Because QuickBooks and Xero are delivered in the cloud, everyone's going to always be up to date on the latest version of the software when you use this, and the updates happen automatically, which is the big benefit of a SaaS system. And in that sense, whoever's looking at the numbers, they can be sure that the numbers are always up to date. So that means you have up-to-date accounts receivable and accounts payable. You have this real-time P&L data. And so the finance team becomes much more integral, much more important to the business because they're able to provide accurate financial data. And as I mentioned, move away from guesstimating and having to do manual stock counts and things like that. And then I think one of the big benefits is that at the year end, when you're going into tax season, which we're coming into in the next month, your filings and your auditing process become that much easier because everything's all in one place and it's backed up online. So we're really focused at TradeGecko on providing SMBs with advanced inventory and order management tools. And how we really see TradeGecko is as that operating layer that lives on top of cloud-based accounting systems. So all of your sales, operations, and warehousing team, they're going to manage the inventory, orders, and warehousing within TradeGecko. Then the accounts and finance team will be managing your accounting, your finance, your cash flow, P&L, payroll, all those types of things. And because the systems are interconnected, the information is always up to date and always ready for you when you log in. And just wanted to talk a little bit about TradeGecko. So we have a 14-day free trial that you can sign up for on www.tradegecko.com. And that's a free trial for 14 days. And I encourage you to start that so you can really understand how the software works and also really help you to understand how you can solve some of those tricky problems in your business workflows. And we also have a great partner program. So you can also make money through this partner program. You get a 20% ongoing revenue share or a 200% one-time bounty when you refer a customer and they sign up for TradeGecko. Now I'm just going to turn it back to Cam and see if there's any questions from the audience.
Thanks so much for that, Bruce. We've got a few questions starting to roll in. So for anyone else, please input those questions on the control panel on the right-hand side so we can get those answered over the next 30 minutes or so. We'll start with a question for Elizabeth. Elizabeth, how open have your bookkeeping clients been to this shift or this evolution in terms of the change to trusted advisor?
Well, thanks, Karen. That's a good question. We found that our clients want solutions and need somebody to help them navigate through what they do not know. Because what you don't know, you don't know. And a trusted resource, we position ourselves as the trusted resource. And our clients view us as a means to success. And we view our clients, their success is our success. So an advisor that makes a customer more successful is hard to beat and even harder to replace. So we haven't had issues with that. Hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Bruce, who would you say is a great fit for TradeGecko?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Cam. At TradeGecko, we're really focused on wholesalers, e-commerce providers, and hybrids of the two. We tend to focus on growing businesses, I mentioned earlier, that deal with multiple channels. So things like Shopify store, they have wholesale relationships, retail stores, etc. And we deal with finished goods as well. And we're really a global company. You know, I mentioned the head office in Singapore, North American headquarters here in Toronto, but we service clients around the world.
Great. Thanks, Bruce. Elizabeth, you started to get into a little bit of, you know, our reliance on, you know, the Google, you know, the iPhone is an example. This whole shift to cloud-based applications, how has the SMB clients been in terms of that shift, and how receptive have they been?
We found that they've been very receptive to it. Clients want flexibility today. They want automation. They're also looking for savings so that they're not having to carry forward an IT department, and appreciate the competitive advantage that these cloud-based solutions provide.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay, Bruce, what are some of the other integrations that TradeGecko supports? I know you gave us an in-depth review on the accounting side of things, some of the sales channels. Any other areas that TradeGecko connects for some of these SMB merchants?
Sure. Yeah. So we connect with QuickBooks Online and Xero, as I mentioned, Shopify, WooCommerce, Amazon, and Amazon, importantly, including fulfilled by Amazon for fulfillment, using them as a 3PL. And we also support other third-party integrations like ShipStation and StarShipIt for shipping, and LoCAD for forecasting, and many others. All the information is on our website at tradegecko.com as well.
Great, thanks, Bruce. Elizabeth, as you've kind of pivoted your business model to support, how has that kind of shifted now that you've been incorporating cloud-based apps in your business?
Great question. Our business model has focused to more of a business-driven understanding of our clients' needs. You know, we certainly have and bring forth the expertise where necessary in particular areas, but we're very focused on business applications, business workflows. And in addressing that with our clients, we've developed a 4-phased process where the first one, we assess their workflows and their needs, their business objectives. Then second, we review appropriate apps and their applications and the options to addressing our clients' needs. And then 3, we look at implementation and training, and 4, maintenance and support. So that's really where we have evolved our business model in better addressing our clients' needs.
Great. Thanks, Elizabeth. Bruce, you may have piqued a little bit of interest on the TradeGecko side. What do you recommend for anyone that's looking to get a little bit more information on the TradeGecko solution?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is to really try the software hands-on and do a trial. And you can do that at tradegecko.com. We've also got quite a rich resource center with lots of blog content. I saw there was lots of wholesalers on the webinar today. you can go on and look at content specifically around wholesale themes and learning. And then you could also go onto the website and request a demo if you had specific questions and wanted to have one of our product specialists walk you through the tool.
Great, thanks, Bruce. Elizabeth, one last question that we've got for you is, elaborating on that last one, is do you provide an end-to-end solution or just the recommendation to these business owners?
Great question. We provide both to our clients. Clients that do engage us on just a phase of looking at a general deliverable. Let's say they might just want an assessment done. They engage us initially, and we have found that 95% of our clients that do engage us end up evolving into an end-to-end solution because they understand and appreciate that we get what their business needs are, and then they wish to continue on through the entire process, thus us delivering an end-to-end solution. So we find that it does help, and certainly anyone that wants more information can visit us at prevondel.com, and we'd be pleased to answer any more specific questions that relate to their requirements.
Fantastic. So that looks like all of the questions have been addressed. Just like to extend a huge thanks to both Elizabeth and Bruce for joining today's webinar. I'd also like to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in, and we hope today's webinar will help you grow and can help you scale your business into 2018. With a lens on managing inventory effectively and using the right tools as part of your technology backbone, 2018 should prove to be a great year ahead. As always, if you're interested in learning more about TradeGecko, please check out our website, start a free trial, or contact your customer support team today. Thanks, and I hope you join us again next time.